Hi everyone, and welcome to the information and introduction video to BTEC Level 3 National Extended Certificate in Sport. So this is an option that you can choose if you decide to come to West Coast Sixth Form Centre, and I'm going to talk you through various parts of the course and also give you opportunity to do some mini tasks that are related to sections of the course. Okay, I'm going to try and do this all in one take, so if I do make a mistake, I'll just try to carry on. So, thanks first of all for showing interest. Hopefully, there'll be quite a few of you showing an interest. It's getting more popular each year, the course that we run. We're up to maybe, I think it's 11 year 12s at the moment, from a variety of different schools. So, obviously, Workington and Whitehaven as kind of feeder schools to the sixth form. We've also got students from St Joseph's in our class. And obviously, we look forward to having a larger class next year, hopefully. So, the course and why is it different from others and why do we think it's a good course? So basically, we believe that we offer an exciting course here, which with a wide variety of activities, and the units that I'll discuss later are quite varied. So hopefully you'll have an interest in all of them, but you might have a keen interest in one particular unit, and they're that different to each other, or three of them are different. Hopefully you'll find something that you can really get stuck into, and you can hopefully pursue your further career. So what we do try and do is make everything sort of locally based. So everything we use in the scenarios is companies, coaching companies, for example, things that are in the town or in the towns, so that you can relate to them and hopefully see how sport can be used as a career out there in the real world. Okay, we do communicate regularly with all the governing bodies, and they feed into some of the lessons that we do. And when and where possible, we'll get external people in to come and help run the course. So I said about trying to do in one take. Sorry about that. So entry criteria. So what we would expect is that it would be preferential if you've studied level 2 and gained at least a pass on that course. However, we have had students previously who've started doing the level 3 course without doing the level 2, and they've gone on to do really well. But there is some tough anatomy fees. So we would like those that have not done it before at level 2 to have gained a grade 5 in science. And then obviously we need you to be contributing to school teams and have some evidence or experience in playing for those teams, because it will help with some of your assignments relating the things to real life. Okay, so the course structure, I'll just move my face up there. So it's a 2-year course. It's offered as a single in both Workington and Whitehaven, and it's a BTEC qualification that's equivalent to 1 A level, and there's 4 units studied. So they are assessed differently. So if you've done the level 2, you'll be used to doing coursework and an exam, and they still exist at level 3. So you do 2 coursework units and you do 1 exam unit, but there's a further exam unit, but it's not what you will call a traditional exam. It's kind of a mixture between an exam and a controlled assessment. So it's sat in exam conditions, but you can take some information in the exam with you. You can take 4 sides of A4 with information from the course into that assessment. And I'll chat a little bit more about it later in this presentation, but basically you work on a case study that you receive 2 weeks before the exam. Okay, so how we work it is Unit 1 is Anatomy and Physiology. That's delivered by Mr. Wilkinson on the Workington campus. And then there's Unit 2, Fitness Training and Programme for Health, Sport and Wellbeing, and that is delivered by myself and Miss Tweddle. And then the Professional Development in the Sports Industry, again, is delivered by myself and Miss Tweddle. And then Mr. Wilkinson also delivers the final internal unit, which is the application of fitness testing. So, some further unit information. There's 1 exam and there's 1 scene scenario controlled assessment. So how that works is you receive some information on a client. It could be anybody, vast range of experience of sport, vast range of experience of fitness, and you have to basically give them some lifestyle modifications and also design a trainer program for that person during the exam. and you'll give them justifications as to why you're suggesting certain things, and we'll work on that obviously up until we get the case study. Then we get the case study, and we've got 2 weeks to work specifically on that case study. We've had a wide range of people in the past. So we've had sedentary people who work in office, don't do any exercise, and they want some guidance and help. Other ones who have done sport, become injured, they need some help getting back into sport and improving their fitness. And then you've got some of the ones are for people who are currently playing sport, currently have high levels of fitness. So it's a wide range. But generally, you kind of sort of want to apply the same things, just at a different level. It's quite a good unit, quite an interesting unit. To go back to the exam unit, that's the anatomy and physiology that Mr. Wilkinson delivers at Workington. That links really well with science. So if you're studying biology or you're doing any other science courses at sixth form, they work really well together. And most of our successful students, or our more successful students, have actually done science alongside the BTEC. Okay. And then the final 2 units, they're internally assessed by ourselves, and they're sent off to a moderator who checks our grading's correct. So one of them is based around careers in sport, and you have to research 2 careers. And then you basically have to identify a job in one of those careers, and you will apply for that job, and we'll interview you for the job, and then we'll review the whole process. It's more of a research-based module. It sets you really well for university if that's what you want to go down that route. And the final one, again delivered by Mr. Wilkinson, and this is the application of fitness testing, where you choose a client, you apply certain fitness tests to the client, and then gather their results and then suggest areas in which they need to improve. So it links quite well to Unit 2 in terms of talking about some of the aspects of fitness. So the last thing on this slide is just about when the exams will take place. So they will take place in year 11, in year 13. We'll start teaching them in year 12. You'll actually be assessed, and you'll do the external exams for those subjects in year 13, usually in the January, and that gives us an opportunity to then resit if they don't go to plan in the June. Okay. The bullet point there that I haven't discussed is the exam and scenario task bullet point in the centre. So these are critical. If you don't pass them, you cannot pass the course. So they are a real focus. And if I just go back a slide, sorry, if you see the guided learning hours for those are double, so they're actually weighted more. So it's obviously important you do well on all of the units, but you need to gain the real high grades on these 2 if you want them to get a good overall grade. I'll explain a bit more about that. Okay. So in terms of how you'd assess, there's a wide variation of assessment. So if it's an assignment, it's set and marked by us and then verified by Pearson, that's the exam board. And the format is it's often work-related scenarios, practical tasks, etc. And it demonstrates your application knowledge and skills, organisation, and your working to deadlines. The task one, which is a scenario, that's marked and set by Pearson externally. And the format of that is we get a pre-released information, and there's some data analysis in there, some test results and things, and that's when we come up with the fitness plan and lifestyle factor changes for the client. And this demonstrates your ability to review, analyse and evaluate. Finally, the exam, this is set again by Pearson and marked by them. The format is written responses, extended answers, and basically it's asking you to demonstrate your recall and you applying technical information and fundamental understanding of the course or the unit. Okay, so you might have heard me mention about a pass. There's also a merit and distinction. You'll be used to this if you do BTECs at level 2. So the assignments have different criteria available. So when you do the assignment, you can either gain a pass, a merit, or a distinction. So to gain a pass, you must hit all the pass criteria. If you want to gain a merit, you don't just do the merit criteria, you also need to incorporate the pass criteria into your work. And then if you want to get a distinction, you'd be looking to get a pass, a merit, and a distinction. So you'd have to do all the criteria to hit that distinction. Okay, so there's 4 different units. So your overall grade is calculated by adding all of the points together from all of the separate units. And you must pass each exam unit to be able to get a final pass grade or higher overall, which I mentioned. Okay, so in terms of calculating your grades, this is how it works. So we are doing 60 guided learning hours on our internal units, the coursework ones, and we are doing the 120 guided learning hours for the external. So as you can see, the external ones are worth double the internal ones. So they need to be, you really need to be nailing those units if you want to gain the good marks. And then we need to be, because we have a little bit of control over the internal ones, we need to be trying to get distinctions, merit on those, definitely as a minimum. And then those grades are added together. So you get 2 grades from the internal and 2 grades from the external, and you add them together. And then in the center of this page, you'll see the extended certificate, which is what this course is, and what grade you'll get overall. So if your points from your 4 units are up to 36, you get pass. If they can add up to 52, you will get a merit. If you can get above 74, it will be a distinction, and you can actually get a distinction star, so that will be above 90 points. So you do the maths yourself in the room to try and work out what you would need on each unit in order to gain those overall grades. And then in terms of those that are interested in going to university, your UCAS points are on the right hand side. So a distinction star is worth 56 points, a distinction is 48, merit is 32, and a pass is 16. So the unit content. So the exam, the anatomy and physiology exam, it's the same difficulty as you'd find in an A-level module. So the A-level anatomy phys is the same kind of depth that you need to be talking about in the BTEC. So sometimes BTEC there's a conception around it that it's easier than A-level. That's not necessarily true, especially with that particular unit. There is some hard content in there. Unit 2, that has some good crossovers in terms of content with Unit 1 and 3 from the Level 2 course. So they're fitness-based units, and so is Unit 2. So some of the information you've learnt on those or during those units will be very useful if you've done the Level 2 course. Unit 3, that's research-based. There's a lot of research into careers in sport, and it's very heavy with coursework. It's quite a lot of coursework. Quite a lot of information required for you to research and produce for that unit. It is really, really interesting to do though, and it gives you a great idea of what you would need to do if you want to work in a certain area of sport. So in the past, we've had students who wanted to be coaches, students who want to be physios, PE teachers, and through doing this unit, it's given them a real focus and a real drive in exactly what they need to do to go from being a sixth form student to being qualified and then having successful careers in those areas. And finally, Unit 5, this allows for practical sessions to be delivered. You will be the coach and you'll apply fitness tests to clients, and you'll be the person in charge of that, and you'll then feedback to that client on how they've done the fitness tests and might recommend a few things they need to improve in their lifestyle. Okay. Right, so the tasks, this is where you don't have to listen to me for much longer, and whoever's in the room will pause the video at the appropriate point. So hopefully you've got some paper in front of you. So we're going to do a task from each unit. This is Unit 1, and it's about different body systems. One of those systems is a skeletal system. So you might or might not have some background knowledge on the skeleton. So what I'd like you to do now is make a list on your paper from A to V, and I'd like whoever's in the room to pause the video, and then I'd like you to try and write down A to P, which bones you think might be or might need labelled on the skeleton. So A is pointing at the skull. However, skull is not the correct term for that part of the skeleton. So what you would do is you write A and then your answer, B and then your answer. Okay. Some of them are difficult, but let's see how you get on. So if you pause the video now and do the task. Right, so there's the task done. I'm going to share with you now the answers. There we go. So again, pause the video, see how you got on.